Imagine this for a moment. You're finally in bed after a long day, settling in for a restful night's sleep. The house is quiet, the lights are off, and your body is ready to recharge. But then it happens. A faint tingling starts in your toes. It's subtle at first, easy to ignore, but within minutes it escalates. It spreads across the soles of your feet like static electricity. Then comes the burning, or perhaps a sharp stabbing sensation that jolts you awake just as you were drifting off. You shake your foot, you change positions, you get up and walk around, but the relief is only temporary. The next morning, your feet feel like they're wrapped in thick cotton. You can't feel the texture of the floor, and walking feels disconnected, like your feet aren't truly part of you anymore. If this cycle of nighttime torture and daytime numbness sounds hauntingly familiar, you need to pay close attention to what follows. Because what you're about to learn isn't about another pill to mask the pain or a cream that promises relief but delivers disappointment. This is about understanding why these sensations often get crueler after the age of 60, and more importantly, how a specific type of movement can step in to protect those irritated nerves before the damage becomes a permanent prison. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you will understand the one critical mistake most people make that worsens their condition daily, and the exact movements that specialists are now emphasizing to restore circulation to nerves that are crying out for help. To understand how to fix the problem, we first have to understand why the body turns against us as we age. Your nerves are not stagnant wires. They are living, hungry tissues. Every single nerve fiber in your body is surrounded by a web of tiny blood vessels called the vascular. These microscopic vessels are the nerve's lifeline, delivering a constant stream of oxygen and nutrients needed to transmit signals from your brain to your toes and back again. Without this steady supply, nerves begin to malfunction. They misfire, sending burning or electric signals, or they simply go silent, resulting in that terrifying numbness. After the age of 60, a perfect storm forms. The heart's pumping efficiency can decrease. Blood vessels lose some of their youthful elasticity, and the natural muscle contractions that help push blood back up from your legs become weaker due to a more sedentary lifestyle. This trifecta leads to one inevitable outcome. Blood pools in the lower legs and feet. Gravity wins. And when blood pools, it stagnates. The oxygen supply to those hungry nerves drops off a cliff. This is the biological trigger for why a mild tingling you had at 50 can transform into debilitating pain by the time you're 60. Most people try to fight this by walking, and while walking is wonderful for general health, it often fails to target the specific mechanics needed to force oxygenated blood deep into the damaged nerve beds of the feet. That is where specific, targeted movements come in, movements designed to manually jumpstart the circulation that age has slowed to a crawl. Let's start with the first movement, one that looks almost too simple to matter, but which addresses the fundamental problem of blood pooling. Think of your lower legs as a hydraulic system. When you sit for long periods, whether watching television, reading, or eating meals, the blood sinks down via gravity and has no natural way to rise back up. It sits there, in your ankles and feet, putting pressure on the capillaries and starving the nerves. The movement that breaks this cycle is the ankle pump. To do this, you don't need to stand up or break a sweat. You simply sit in a chair with your feet flat on the floor. Now, slowly lift your toes up toward your shins as high as they will comfortably go. You should feel a stretch in your calf and the front of your ankle. Hold that position for just a second, and then push your toes down, pointing them toward the floor like a ballet dancer. That single motion up and down is an ankle pump. When you perform this, you are forcibly contracting the muscles in your calves and shins. Those contractions act like a mechanical squeeze on the deep veins in your legs, physically pushing the pooled blood upward against gravity back toward your heart. This isn't just a theory. It is a physiological necessity. When you do 10, 15, or 20 of these pumps in a row, you create a wave of fresh, oxygenated blood that washes through the lower legs. For nerves that have been gasping for air in a pool of stagnant blood, this rush of oxygen is like rain in a drought. This is why specialists often recommend doing ankle pumps every hour, especially if you are sitting down. It's a silent, invisible exercise that no one else notices, but your nerves certainly do. It resets the clock on stagnation and tells your body that you are still actively managing your circulation, while ankle pumps are the starter. The next movement builds upon them by targeting the most powerful circulatory pump in your lower body, the calf muscle. Medical professionals often refer to the calf muscles as the second heart, and for good reason. For every step you take, your calf muscles contract, squeezing the venous sinuses and propelling blood upward. But after 62 things happen. First, we tend to sit more and walk less, so that second heart beats less frequently. Second, muscle mass naturally declines in a process called the calf muscles get weaker and smaller, and with their shrinking, their ability to pump blood diminishes. This is where the calf raise comes in. To perform this, stand behind a sturdy chair, holding the back for balance. Keep your feet hip-width apart. Slowly, with control, rise up onto the balls of your feet, lifting your heels as high as you can. Imagine you are trying to see over a fence. Pause for a moment at the top, feeling the intense squeeze in your calves. And then lower your heels back down. Slowly, the slow lowering is actually where a lot of the benefit happens, as it forces the muscles to work against gravity. This movement does something that walking slowly around the house cannot do. It creates a maximal contraction of the calf muscle. That maximal contraction wrings out the deep veins completely, pushing a massive volume of blood upward and creating a vacuum effect that pulls fresh blood down from the arteries when you release. Recent clinical observations have shown that consistent calf raise training can significantly improve the blood flow metrics to the feet, reducing the sensation of burning and heaviness. It physically rehabilitates the second heart, so it can do its job 24 hours a day, even when you aren't exercising. Neglecting this movement allows that second heart to fail, and when it fails, the nerves downstream pay the ultimate price. Moving further down the chain, we arrive at the ankle joint itself. The ankle is a crowded real estate zone. Multiple blood vessels, tendons, and nerves pass through a very narrow tunnel to get into the foot. If this joint becomes stiff from lack of use, it acts like a kink in a garden hose. It restricts the flow. This is why ankle rotations are so critical. This exercise looks gentle, almost lazy, but its impact on circulation is profound. To do it, sit or lie down with your leg extended. Lift your foot slightly off the ground and begin to rotate your ankle in a slow, controlled circle. Imagine you are drawing the biggest circle you can with your big toe. Go clockwise 10 to 15 times, and then switch to counterclockwise. The key word here is slow. Fast, floppy circles do nothing. Slow, deliberate circles force the muscles around the ankle to contract and relax in a coordinated rhythm. This rhythmic contraction acts as a local pump, massaging the blood vessels as they pass through the joint capsule. It keeps the pathway open and pliable. When the ankle is mobile, blood flows freely. When the ankle is stiff, blood trickles. This exercise is often recommended by physical therapists, not just for flexibility, but for its ability to reduce edema, or swelling, in the feet. By reducing swelling, you reduce the pressure on the nerve endings, which directly correlates to a reduction in pain and tingling. It is a simple maintenance task for the gateway to your feet, ensuring that the oxygen delivered by the calf pump can actually make it to its destination without getting bottlenecked at the joint. Now we move into the foot itself, where the nerves are most densely packed and where the damage is most acutely felt. The next movement is one that many people overlook because they focus only on the big muscles of the legs. It is called the toe curl. Sit in a chair with your feet flat on the floor, preferably barefoot so you can feel the muscles working. Now, without lifting your heel, curl your toes downward as if you are trying to grab the floor and pull it toward you. Imagine you are making a fist with your foot. Squeeze and hold that curl for about 5 seconds. You should feel the arch of your foot engage and the small muscles on the bottom of your foot contract. Then, release and straighten your toes. That is 1 repetition. What makes this so effective is that it activates the intrinsic muscles of the foot. These are tiny muscles located between the bones that are responsible for fine motor control and support. As we age and wear restrictive shoes, these muscles often become weak and when you curl your toes, you squeeze the blood out of the vascular beds in the soles of your feet. And when you release, fresh blood rushes back in. This milking action is the most direct way to force circulation into the exact location where neuropathy symptoms originate.